DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. The ability to create a network not as a centralized company where you start up everything yourself, but as an entity who then relies on a decentralized network of people, users, whatever, to build your network for you, essentially. The way I like to think about this is like Uber, for example. So, once upon a time, if, wanted to start a taxi company, for example, that was a huge industry that was, nearly impossible to disrupt. And if you want to start your own taxi company, well, you had a really tough road ahead of you because you had to create the company and hire people, but then you had to buy all these cars and paint the cars and put your logo on them and have enough of them to go all around the town you're starting in. And it was just this huge mountain you had to climb. Well, fast forward to the modern era, and Uber decided they wanted to start their own taxi company, but they didn't want to spend all that money on all those things. So they said, instead of us paying all this money to build this infrastructure of things, let's tell people who already have cars they can be our drivers as they are. And so they created the app, they created the means to connect all these people, to connect the drivers to you, and they let basically their employees build the company for them. Well, there's much the same thing in crypto. One of the things I love in a crypto project that pays me is one that also has real utility. And one of the commonalities between these types of projects is they're typically going to be something in the DePIN space. A great example of this is helium. Now, love helium or hate helium, which if you are a veteran of the last bull run, then you remember the hotspot helium mining craze, and then you watched it all fall apart. So you might have a sour view of it. However, they are still here and they're still building things, and they have shifted gears to put more focus, at least in terms of marketing and where the outward focus looks like, into cellular data. The mobile data industry is one that is also ripe for disruption, much like the taxi industry, and that there is a handful of big players who have monopolies over the entire network space. And so if you want to have a phone, you have the choice of just a couple different things. The point here is that Helium sees an opportunity to disrupt that space, not by building a bunch of towers in every single city and doing it just like all the big players did it, because that is a very tall mountain to climb. So instead, they're putting hotspots in the hands of individuals with these 5G hotspots, and you set these up all around your city, and they're relying on users to set that up for them. And this is different than what they were doing previously with IoT, and so we can talk a little bit about that in this video. But I think it's fascinating because you will get rewarded for running that hotspot. You're giving something to the public that is in need, which is mobile data, and they're doing it at a very competitive price of like $5 per month right now for unlimited data, which is kind of crazy. And so you do this kind of perfect recipe, just like Uber did with cheaper taxis that are available everywhere and anybody can become one. So that's just one example on my list. We're going to go into a bunch more examples, a bunch of other projects. So there's this great kind of graphic from Masari, but they talk about this DePIN flywheel, which I think is really interesting. And it starts by incentivizing the supply side. So again, something in common with a lot of these projects is they're all going to have coins or tokens, and this is going to reward you for running the thing to support their network. This is a crucial element of this because it rewards the network growth. It rewards you for being a part of that network, and then that spins over into developers, builders, and users. As the supply side grows, as this ecosystem gets better and better, and as people are incentivized to grow it, well, naturally, people are going to want to build on it. People are going to want to further develop it. That's going to help it grow, get more outside attention, and then that flows into the next one, which is that the structural demand increases. So, if you build a network, that network gets adoption, you start nipping at the boundaries of that network. Well, that network needs to expand and grow, and that requires structural demand increases. And then that rolls over into value capture, which is really where the token goes up in price. This is why we're all here, for the value capture. The token goes up in price. We all become, billionaires. We all drive Lamborghinis next to each other, high-fiving each other down the road because our whatever, network token went up in price because everybody's using that thing now. And then of course that rolls back into incentivizing people in the first place to even jump on board. Let me look at this next graphic from Masari here, which I love this one because it's a really nice way to just kind of see, and this is not totally exhaustive. Anyway, this is just a nice little snapshot though of the DePIN crypto sector. If you've been watching my channel, you're going to see some on here that I've talked about in the past off and on. We've got our Flux, and we have Demo and Hive Mapper, GeoNet, Helium, Wi-Fi Map. So there's a lot of ones on here you might be familiar with. But what's cool is this kind of breaks it down into the different categories within DePIN. So we've got our wireless networks, which is a breakdown in of itself of 5G networks, IoT, Wi-Fi networks. There's geospatial, which there's breakdowns there, mobility, energy networks. Now, where I put a lot of my focus over the past couple of years is in the storage and compute networks, which is one of the first ones we're going to start with here. So let's start with, of course, a longtime channel favorite in the compute space, which is Flux, which, wouldn't you know it, not only is Bitcoin over $43,000 as I record this, which is wild. Welcome to the new paradigm, I guess. But Flux is also up 15% just today, so that's great. Flux is waking up. But for those who don't know, I used to tell people that Flux is essentially trying to be a decentralized Amazon Web Services. I don't know if that is accurate anymore because they're trying to do a bunch of other stuff too. But when I got into Flux hardcore, what they were trying to do was take AWS, Amazon Web Services, which is the go-to place to start up servers and host your app and websites and anything you can think of to develop on in the world. Some of the biggest server farms out there, you would go to Amazon Web Services for that. But Amazon, again, has spent countless, millions or billion, I don't know how much they've spent on infrastructure to set all that up. But it's also all in single locations. It's susceptible to certain risks that a decentralized network is not. Whereas Flux has not had to spend that same kind of money to set up their network. They have people like you and me who run nodes, which has real hardware, serious hardware, to power that network. So then people can build on their network and use those assets and resources. Now, of course, with the advent of popularized AI and things like that, Flux is adding those into its feature set. They want to be there for AI apps and developers and stuff to be able to build those things on their platform too, giving lots of compute power, etc. So Flux is definitely one of the top ones on my list in the compute space of DePIN. We can take a look at the price here real quick if CoinGecko will load it. So past 30 days, it's moving and grooving. I really think that DePIN, this is going to be a similar trend. I think charts like this that are going up and to the right is going to be a trend in this bull run, because I think DePIN is going to be one of those narratives that really shines in the next year or two and beyond. And the reason I think that is because, like once upon a time, there were all these legacy companies and media and various things in the world, and then the internet slowly but surely gained popularity and adoption and totally disrupted that. I think a lot of these current very centralized and traditionally built infrastructure networks are going to get disrupted in the same way because of the incentives that are in place for decentralized physical infrastructure networks like Flux and a lot of things else I'm going to cover on this list. Because me and you, we want to make money, and so we'll stand up some nodes to make some money. The side effect is that the network for Flux or whoever grows. So that is super, super cool. They also, a lot of the way people who've come to my channel have found Flux is via their Flux nodes, which right now they've got about 12,000 nodes running at the moment. You can read on here all about how they're incentivized and stuff, but the basic that you need to know if you're interested in setting up a node, there's basically 3 tiers right now, which they do have the Fractus ones going, and they do have Titan nodes, but the 3 I've always kind of focused on is Cumulus, Nimbus, and Stratus. And they require 1,000, 12,500, and 40,000 Flux to operate. And like I've already said, these are real nodes with real hardware, and it's not like 2 cores in some cloud server and that's it. It's pretty serious stuff. 8 cores, 16 threads, 64 gigs of RAM, 880 gigabyte SSD for this top one as just a few of the requirements, because they want to do serious stuff on these nodes. Next up is Clore AI. Clore has been on a tear lately. Not sure if anybody is following Clore, but I got into Clore, I don't know how many months ago it was, because of DJ Mines, and my Clore position is up 2,316%. So this one has been just on an absolute tear lately. It's up 6% today. It's still pretty small in terms of ranking. It's ranked at 473, whereas even Flux is ranked at almost into the almost past spot 200, but yeah, 215. So even smaller is Clore. Look at this 90-day. So I got in, I don't know, somewhere in here, I can't remember, but maybe even before this. But it has just been a rocket ship. And obviously its name is Clore AI. The big picture with Clore is it's a distributed supercomputer that fits your needs. Right now they have a marketplace where you can put your machines on their marketplace and have them rented out to do compute tasks. This could be AI render, this could be video editing, 3D graphic render, take your pick. But it's actually a live marketplace. Throw your machine up there and start making some money with it. So that's the incentivized portion of Clore AI. Clore doesn't have nodes or anything, but if you have a machine, you still get incentivized for putting that on the network and supporting it. Also, like Flux, Clore is proof of work, meaning it's a mineable cryptocurrency. And again, Clore AI. So one of their big things that they're trying to push is AI training, AI render, AI compute. But you can also hop onto the Clore marketplace, rent a rig, and mine on it, which you can do the same thing in Flux's marketplace. Again, these are kind of marketplace-based plays where you can go on there and just use compute for whatever you want. I don't know if I would use any of these to do crypto mining. I feel like these are going to be optimized and priced for doing actual render, compute type jobs, and less so for mining. But you know, another big one is video, 3D graphics type rendering, which is all very intensive stuff. And if you can farm that out online and save some money, especially over starting up a GPU instance on Amazon Web Services, that's a big win. And again, you get incentivized for doing this, for being a part of the network and helping grow it. So Clore is another really interesting one. It's earlier than Flux. I don't have nearly as big of a position, but I do like it a lot. And then this one, I don't actually own any render myself, but I thought it's worth bringing up because they are kind of the front runner in this space of compute right now. It's ranked number 51, so it's ranked much higher than Flux or Clore. And there's a few others too. There's Akash and some other names worth mentioning that are also worth a deeper dive too to look into. But I wanted to just show render, not because I'm a huge fan of it. I do like it. I just don't own any. I personally see render as one that has a little bit less upside potential given how high it's already ranked than some of the other ones on my list. But it's a good benchmark to look at. Ranked 51 on the charts with a $1.35 billion market cap. Clore has a market cap of 60 million and Flux has a market cap of 200 million. So you can see with render in front, there is a lot a lot of room for these to grow. So that is Render. Moving on from Render. Okay, now let's talk about Octaspace. I want to transition from general compute projects into storage projects, but I want to bridge that gap with Octaspace. I've been mining Octaspace on my little iPolo mini ASIC for I don't know how many months now. It's been profitable and it's been great, and I'm growing my stack, but I've also bought some Octaspace. Octaspace is interesting because, like I said, it's kind of that bridge between the two. They want to do distributed computing, but they are also putting a big focus on data storage, and the third piece of their kind of offering is the VPN. This is one that bridges the gap a little bit. They're also trying to go to a different angle in terms of industry value proposition, but this one is ranked at 775, so this one's even smaller than the other two, so even more potential upside here if it were to move up the charts. Again, I guess I just chose to go live on a day with a lot of green because, yeah, we're almost $43,600 Bitcoin, getting close to 44,000. We touched it earlier today, but lots of stuff is green today. So Octaspace is up 7.5% today. Again, past 90 days, it's just looking up and to the right at the moment. Like I covered in my video the other day on the gaming space, I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking towards this DePIN space as a high growth sector of crypto. And so a lot of money is now starting to look at all these different things. So, you might see this and go, oh, I shouldn't get in now. It's already pumped a lot or whatever. And maybe that's true. Maybe we are in store for a pretty good correction on some of these. However, ranked, at 775 in the charts, and given that the entire crypto market right now is only $1.67 trillion in market capitalization, and last bull run it was over 3 trillion, and I suspect that this bull run in front of us in 2024 and 2025 will be even bigger than the last one. It's still very early. So a lot of these have tons of room to grow still. I'm not telling you it's going to go up. It could go down. I'm not telling you what to invest in or anything like that. I'm just telling you what my macro view is of these things over the next 1 to 2 years. Now, this is an ever-expanding sector of crypto, and the amount of inflow that could be coming into the space is absolutely bonkers. Any of these, including Octaspace, ranked at 790 right now, could never go up in position on the charts and still have the price go way up just from more money coming in to crypto. So anyway, Octaspace is an interesting one. I love that it's mineable. Again, I love that it's been profitable on my teeny tiny little iPolo miner, and that one has been good so far. Now let's move firmly into storage, and one of the ones I've liked for a long time when it comes to storage is SC Prime. SC Prime is a very similar story to a lot of these. The premise here is pretty easy. I'll read you their byline. They want to be a distributed data center with enterprise-grade cloud storage. So it's right there in the name. Effectively, you set up a node or a miner or whatever with SC Prime. You put your hard drives in that machine. You put them on the SC Prime network, and then they can be rented out and used to store. And they're trying to have certain standards they set in terms of the hardware, drives, and various things they use around that. So it's up to a specific standard, because again, they're trying to go for enterprise grade cloud storage here. They also offer end-to-end encryption, which I think is pretty cool. But this one is super early because it's ranked at $12.95 in the crypto chart, so it's way down there. Lots and lots of room to grow. It's only a $6.8 million market cap, very tiny. But also because I feel like they've had a maybe fair, but a decent amount of criticism over the past year or so that not much has happened in terms of adoption or this or that. And I do think it's true that it's been a relatively quiet project in terms of marketing, outreach, adoption, etc. But what they've been doing that whole time, because I'm in their Discord, is they've just been building and working on their protocol, on their offering, on the robustness in the network and stuff in the background. And then I'm hoping, we'll see, that they really crank up the marketing effort and adoption effort this run, because they have a pretty healthy network of storage sitting out there ready to be utilized. I do run one of their XA miners with some storage, and it has been gradually getting more and more usage. It's not a real high payer by any metric. I think I have the 16 terabyte one, and I think there's only about 700 gigabytes of that have been used since I started running it a year and a half ago. So I'm not making a ton. I think I'm making like 50, about 50 SCP a month, which is $7. But if this were to take off and move up to the top 500, for example, well, that profitability changes instantly. Or if more people come online and use it, then I make more money because there's more usage happening. So very early play, but it's an interesting storage one. Okay, moving on to some wireless networks. I've already talked about helium. And again, helium is a little bit of a dubious one for a lot of folks based on the IoT miners and stuff like that over the past bull run, and I get that. However, I submit that a lot of crypto projects, a lot of crypto companies, you really have to view them as startups. And some of the most successful startups in the world, what they originally set out to do isn't what they ended up being successful doing. And we gauge their success by how well they were able to pivot and go where actually the market wanted them to go. Now, Helium, I don't think, has fully given up on IoT, but outward facing in terms of marketing and what they're talking about, it's all mobile focused. And I think this is a smart play because, again, I think trying to get all these IoT companies who use their network and get paid that way was a bit of a stretch in hindsight, but convincing new people to get onto a new cheap phone service, that's not a stretch. That's an easy one. If someone has the choice between a $60 to $100 a month AT&T cell phone bill or a $5 per month Helium Mobile with unlimited data cell phone plan, well, there's going to be a lot of people who want that Helium one. Now, it's only launched fully in Miami, but they're expanding to other cities. It's very early stage. But I think there's two plays here. One, it's, I guess, speculating and buying the token itself. But two, it is mining it. Maybe we've been here before and you're not even open to this, but I think their 5G miners have a lot of potential and opportunity. I'm running one. Will it actually work out? Who knows? It might be a repeat of the last time, but I am convinced that there is a need for mobile cellular data disruption, and Helium seems to be the one that's the front runner in that space. So I am looking to this one. Okay, now let's talk more wireless, but not specific to cellular wireless. Let's talk about general wireless. And let's talk about Wi-Fi Map. Wi-Fi Map wants to build a Web3 internet super app. Gotta love the super app buzzword. But their product is actually very cool. I've used the app. It's a really solid app with an offering. But they have just a handful of core features. Secure VPN. Global eSIM, which I don't know if you've ever used eSIMs. I was just in Japan. I used eSIM. It was so convenient and easy. That's a super cool feature of newer phones, be able to do the eSIMs. And then the third thing, which is kind of two things here. The third thing is Wi-Fi mapping, like the name suggests. But seeing a geographic map of where all Wi-Fi hotspots are, and then be able to have those maps offline, but also use their Finder function to find those Wi-Fi hotspots you can join. This one is just a data play in terms of Wi-Fi in different geographic locations and cities around the globe. But it's also a earnings play because, like most of these, they incentivize people to be a part of their network and to build the network. So if you set up a hotspot, a Wi-Fi hotspot for the Wi-Fi Map project, you will get rewarded in their Wi-Fi token. So let's look at their Wi-Fi token. Another one in the green. Gotta love today. Wi-Fi Map is ranked even smaller than the previous ones. It's 1,357 on the crypto charts, which is a $6 million market cap. pretty dang small. Their 30 days looks like a lot of the rest of these. Again, I think it's just people are waking up to DePIN and this entire sector, and so money is starting to flow in. But again, at a ranking of 1,357, it's got a lot of room ahead of it if it wants to grow. Okay, now for a couple really fun ones. This is gonna be my miscellaneous category of DePIN projects because they're kind of hitting a bunch of different functions. But I did cover Demo in a video a month or two ago, and this is a device. Let me show you the device. So this is what I'm running. I'm running the Demo AutoPi. It's a $300 device that plugs into your car's diagnostic port. Once you connect it with their app, you don't do anything else other than drive your car. And what it does is it monitors all your real-time performance data of your car, error scanning, health stuff. It does do privatized GPS tracking of your car's location and stuff like that. It takes all that information and then they monetize it. Now, why on earth would you want to do that? Well, unfortunately, a lot of modern cars already data mine you. You just either don't know about it or you definitely don't get paid for it. So Demo wants to take that data that's already being sold, already being monetized, and they want to bring you into the loop so you can actually make money from that happening. So, you know, if you're against that altogether, we should probably buy an older car or figure out how to turn that stuff off, those features off in your new vehicle. But if you're like me and you're like, well, it's happening anyway, so I'm going to make some money from it, this is a great way to go. And this one is so passive because there's no checking into it or anything. You just drive your car, and basically the minimum to drive to earn is just drive once per week. And if you keep on a streak of driving once per week, your earnings go up and up and up. And right now, because this is actually one of the few that's red today, but you can see here past 30 days is up 45%. This one's been doing really well over the past month, and these devices are making anywhere from $100 to $200 per month. So the payback period on this $300 device is so fast. And it's an affiliate link, so if you want to support the channel, there is a link in the description here to buy this, and there's a discount code to get 10% off, but there's also a code that if you use it when you set this device up, you will get $50 of their Demo token for free. So that already brings it down to $250. But I bring this one up because I like the idea of you being in control of how your data is being monetized. This is an interesting passive way to do it, and it's super profitable right now. Now let's talk about one that is very similar in one crucial way, and that it lets you monetize your driving. And now HiveMapper, 42% up today. HiveMapper has been pumping like crazy. $711 in the past 30 days. Let's look at this chart. It's just a rocket ship. So HiveMapper, in case you don't know, HiveMapper has a dash cam. It's a $300 dash cam. And again, there's an affiliate link in the description where you can get 10% off of this. But they want to build visual maps of areas, just like Google Street View. And they want you to be their Google Street car. So instead of them spending, I don't know, 100 grand per Google, car that drives around town and maps everything out, they want you to be the person who does that for them. And so for doing that, you get paid, and you actually get paid more if you go to locations that are less mapped. So they incentivize you to drive routes that have been mapped less. And this one's also global. They're mapping globally. So this one, no matter what country you're in, this is a great one to look at. But the crazy thing is, because the token's been on fire lately, these can actually pay themselves off in less than a month right now. So this is very, very lucrative. It's very, very profitable right now. And it's a cool idea. You just drive around, it takes pictures of the road in front of you, and you get paid for uploading those images to HiveMapper. Now, the downside to this one, compared to Demo especially, is it's far less passive. It is passive that you just drive your car, it takes pictures, and you make money, but you do have to connect your phone to it every couple days, offload from the camera to your phone, and then go onto your home network and then offload from your phone to their network. So it's not totally hands-off. There's that little annoying bit, but it makes quite a bit of money for such a cheap device right now. So it'd be bad if I did not mention it, because it's a very cool idea. Okay, also in the miscellaneous category is Newer AI. This one is up 9.3% today. It's ranked at 528 on the charts. Newer AI is an interesting one in the DePIN space because it's combining blockchain, IoT, and AI. So they want to make IoT accessible to a lot of people, but have some of that IoT data be validated by trained AI. It's an interesting one. It's an early one. And it's definitely worth looking at. Let's look at its chart real quick. So its chart has also been on fire lately. I mean, it is up 663% in the past 30 days. So maybe this one has a cool off period. I don't know, but I do know that it's ranked at 528, and AI is a hot button topic. So that one could potentially do well into the future as well. But I guess this is really cool, especially if you're a tinkerer, especially if you're someone who likes geeking out about this stuff. This one is definitely worth looking into. Moving on to yet another one in the miscellaneous category. This is a geospatial data project called GeoNet. GeoNet is ranked at 1329 on the crypto charts. Its 30-day is also looking pretty healthy. It's up 42% in the past 30 days, so it hasn't moved nearly as much as a lot of the other ones. GeoNet, they have... They're called miners, but they're devices, and they get rewarded in their coin or token for running the device. It's not doing mining directly on the device, but the device itself is, they call them space weather stations, which, I mean, what's not to love about a name like that, space weather station? But essentially, you put this antenna at your house, and it takes GPS positioning data, and they take this data to help increase the accuracy of all this mapping and geospatial information that they're getting. And in running these antennas, to help with this accuracy increasing, you get paid in their token. And like a lot of these, there's a device. This is the outdoor UFO antenna. And it runs on a cable to this, which does not go outside unless you put in like a little box or something. And this is what makes up their space weather station and helps them with their geospatial data mining, quote unquote. So this one's very early stage, very interesting. I like it a lot. And more on that one in the future, I'm sure. Next up is Crank. So if you are a helium person who bought all the hot spots and stuff, and you're bummed that they don't make nearly as much money as they used to, take a look at Crank. You can take the helium hotspot you had, your Bobcats, your Minted, whatever, and you can repurpose them as a Crank miner. Crank is trying to pick up where Helium left off a bit with IoT, but with some extra elements, and they are building on Cadena, so that in and of itself is interesting. But also their devices, you mine Crank token, which basically instantly makes it more profitable than mining Helium IoT with it, but you can dual mine Crank and Helium on the same device. So this is a great one for the passive income lovers who have these devices and want something more for them to do. And it's also really early stage. They're not on CoinGecko, which is I'm not showing you the CoinGecko. So it's very early stage and worth taking a look at. And then lastly is a play that could be something that has less upside, but maybe less risk than some of these. These are all really risky, and Solana could fail tomorrow. Solana could fail 2 years from now. Solana could never work out and fill the promises that they've made, because they've made a lot of promises. But the reason I'm talking about Solana here, as someone who's never been a Solana fan, but it's growing on me now, is because a lot of DePIN projects like HiveMapper, for example, are building their tokens on Solana. So Solana is feeling a little bit like the chain of choice for DePIN tokens if they don't have their own blockchain. So if DePIN is interesting to you, but you don't want to jump into 300 different things, this might be a way to get into DePIN kind of secondhand once removed. But Solana has been on a tear as well. It's up 6%, not up 6%. It's ranked at number 6 on the crypto charts. It's up 340% this year. So, you know, in terms of upside, do I think Solana will do a 1000x like maybe one of these other ones could? Probably not, but I don't know. Let's see how much money flows into crypto. I don't know, but it's worth mentioning because of that DePIN connection. Now, I think all of the cryptos I talked about on this list have massive potential because I think the entire DePIN sector of crypto could be huge, a huge narrative in this next bull run. But of course, there is many sectors to crypto, and within those different sectors and categories, there's a bunch of interesting projects to look at. So watch this video to see another collection of cryptos that are probably worth looking at that have maybe a lot of potential going forward. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.